Based on reports analyzing litter composition in rivers and seas, cigarette butts comprise 5 to 9% of aquatic trash. Butts have also been identified as one of the most common plastic items that are floating in harbors and that sink in the seabed. Notably, cigarette butts have consistently remained on top of the list of plastic items in total debris collected in beach cleanups, as well as in municipal litter collection. Even a lowball estimate of cigarette butts' plastic pollution turned out to be substantial, tallying around $26 billion a year, or about $200 billion for the past decade. This figure includes both waste management and ecosystem losses due to plastics. We also found that there is no data to cost out the toxicity. The estimate takes into account merely the fact that cigarette filters are plastic, but it does not take into account the specific harms caused by the toxicity of the cigarette butts or any additional resources required to clean that up. The cost of losing ecosystem services like fishing, tourism, recreation, etc. that's applied here is the one that's applied to any plastic that stays in the environment over time. But cigarette butts are different. They have chemical and heavy metal content that kills many fishes and microorganisms over a short period of time. But we do not have the estimates for that because there's no sufficient data to cost that out. The role of the tobacco industry is another thing. The tobacco industry knew that the cigarette filters are defective in design and they cause more harm to smokers and pose an environmental threat that could not entirely be abated by greenwashing activities. Shifting costs to pay for butt cleanups are short-term solutions. In order to truly prevent environmental harms, plastic cigarette filters must be banned immediately. This is an important advocacy that needs to be promoted at a global forum, such as the UN Plastics Treaty negotiations. But tobacco companies must not participate in these global efforts and should simply bear responsibility and costs for their products and their products' harms. The study also found that the cost of tobacco product plastic pollution are likely highest in China than in any other country. China consumes half of the world's total cigarette volume. So imagine, out of the 5 trillion, 2.5 trillion is from China. Because China's rate of leakage is relatively high, leakage means the percent of the plastics that reach the aquatic environment then eventually reaches the oceans. Looking at the data set, China contributes around 20% of the cost estimate, and this should give us an indication of how much the producer should be paying in order to offset these costs.